Vanessa. Finally, we get to do this shit. Look at us.
Hey.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode number 9 of Wheelin and Dealin. Yeah, if I could say it, then maybe I could fucking host it. I am your host, DJ Dave Squeaky Wheels, otherwise known as the Reptard Wonder, the Riss, the Kung Fu Master, the Grasshopper. Oh, yeah. And a number of different names.
I feel like you've always been like really jokes, but like recently, man, you've been saying some pretty funny shit.
Just recently?
Yeah, no, I mean always, but I think you're just getting funnier with age, you know?
Yeah, well, shit. When shit tends to go wrong, that's when the jokes come in,
Yeah,
I
I think
started
that's
praying at like 21 years old, so that's how I knew God was playing a little trick. You know, I wanted to be Baby Yoda before it was fucking cool.
Yeah, before it was cool. Exactly. My boyfriend's obsessed with that show.
Yeah. What this maybe this is just hubris kicking in. What have you heard that made you laugh the most that I recently said? I'm very curious.
Literally just what you just said actually is freaking hilarious. I love that. But you know what? I love that about you. You just like make fun of yourself. I feel like I wish more people did that because there's too much, I don't know, sensitivity out there. And I'm a very sensitive person, but like I like to make jokes about myself. So
Yeah, well, you don't take yourself too seriously. You've been through shit. The people that are too sensitive, and I don't know. I don't think it's in conjunction with one another, but I think challenges are good, and like trials and tribulations are good because then you get a real test of like how you can deal with it. And like I don't know, I've always just kind of laughed shit off. Like not always laughed it off. I've had my moments. Like yesterday, I had a fucking terrible night, like a restless sleep and everything. You know how like in what's that movie with Russell Crowe with like John Nash where he's the mathematician? Like
Oh, A Beautiful Mind.
A Beautiful Mind. Yeah. I was having that, but like with fucking negative thoughts. You know what I mean? I was having that with like, damn, I can only be tall like in my chair, or like if I got like an Iron Man suit, how much I would fuck shit up.
Oh my god.
I
No, you
wrote,
know what? I just thought of another funny thing that you said when I was on IG Live. You're like, is this a Lens Crafters commercial?
yeah.
That like threw me off too. I was like, oh man. Yeah, you're
Literally,
right.
the girl you were talking to looked like a before and an after, but in like a good way of each other.
Ah, no, that's good. That's good. But yeah, no, I think about like what you just said with the trials and tribulations. Like I always say this, and I've said this a lot just this past year because I genuinely believe it. I genuinely think that like life is suffering. Like the human existence, like we do suffer. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's more about like how do you overcome adversity and really like just cherish the moments when you're not suffering. Do you know what I mean? Because life is really beautiful when shit isn't hitting the fan, and when shit is hitting the fan, like there's nothing else to do but to overcome. And it's like what you said, like it tests you and it makes you who you are, right? Because if you didn't have like the low points, then it would just all be the same.
Yeah, it'd be pretty fucking boring. Nobody wants to hear. And then the story ends and they went home.
Exactly. Exactly.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna get very like the View or like very much daytime talk show. Tell us your story. Share your truth with me, Vanessa Lancione.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well done. God, where do I start? Okay, I'm gonna start with my last name. How you pronounce it is Lancione because it's
Lancione. What was that close?
Italian. Yeah, well, yeah, because I feel like the CI, everyone says like CO, but it's like in Italian, it's CI is like a ch sound. Fun facts about me. So yeah, God, my story. Where the hell do I begin? From Montreal initially, moved to Mississauga when I was 6, grew up there, went to the University of Windsor in the BFA acting program. I was an actor for most of my life. And then when I was in my 4th year of university, I kind of started to realize like, ooh, I don't know if I'm going to want to pursue this professionally, only because I was like, I love it, but I don't know if I love it enough to do what is required to really get yourself out there, in terms of like, I knew that I was moving back home with my parents in Mississauga, which isn't far from Toronto. However, like just commuting to Toronto for auditions and like having to work like part-time to pay off student loans, because that's another thing. I was an idiot and actually went into debt for university, which I tell everybody not to do, because what is
Exactly.
the point?
Is
Um,
university, like, I don't mean to sidetrack, but like, is that not one of the biggest Ponzi schemes looking back? I can understand if you want to specialize in a field, but
yeah.
like looking back on it now, it's just they're basically just stockpiling funds and basically just you don't know where all this is being distributed equally. It's a lot like the mess we find
Well,
ourselves in now.
it's funny that you say that, right? Because I have been in network marketing, which is often called a pyramid or Ponzi scheme,
Okay.
like just because people don't really know the difference, really. And like even just now, what I'm doing with affiliate marketing and direct sales and all that, I'll get to that in a sec. But it's just interesting that you say that, because those very people that are like, oh, like, I don't want to join your pyramid scheme, like they literally go into the Ponzi scheme that is university, and like
Yeah.
they all end up being professors at some point, because what the fuck else are you supposed to do?
Yeah,
And it's just like,
it's a very insulated way to live. I've never understood that. Like don't get me wrong, I don't regret going to university. I met you and I met a lot of great friends and I made connections and I came out of my shell more. But looking back on it, I could have done without the debt. And luckily I paid all that shit off. I had a lot of help, luckily, but I would have been saddled with debt to this fucking day. And it would have been
yeah, and like I said it because my brother, he's 18 and he's just finished his first year, which sucks. He's on all online, obviously, which is shitty. And he didn't get to have like a prom or anything like that last year because of COVID and all that fun stuff. So
no wonder kids are stealing bird scooters, man. They're fucking pissed off. They didn't get to have their prom. Is that a problem where you're at in the UK? Because like we just got bird scooters, and I swear to God, they're taking over. They're
wait,
taking
what's a
over.
bird scooter?
You never see those little shitty those scooters that hipsters light on? Like there'll be like two or three hopping on. It's like the skinny little thing that you can just rent them or like 100 or like something an hour.
That is not what we see here. I have no idea. I live in the UK, by the way, for
Yes,
those
yes.
watching.
Just to preface, Vanessa is 5 hours ahead of me. So I don't
Yes.
I if I was in your time zone, I'd be drunk 5 hours ago.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good to know.
I've only had
But yeah,
261. I'm behaving myself.
that's all right. I forgot what I was saying. I think I was saying something about my brother.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, your brother's going into university and like, yeah.
yeah. So he's in like, well, here's the thing, background with my brother. He's like a huge athlete. He's been an athlete all of his life. And then he's like also a major sports nerd. Like he knows everything about every sport ever. Like it's actually really kind of creepy, but he is in, I guess, like human kinetics, HK or whatever, kinesiology, whatever.
Physiology, yeah.
Yeah, so he's doing that because he has like goals. He wants to be like a physio and things like that. And I was like, that's fine. Like, go into university for something that like you absolutely need the university degree in order to get to whatever career that you want. But the fact that like I literally went to school for acting, like, and it's not a bad thing, right? Like, if you can afford to go do whatever you want to do. If you can afford university and you just want to get a sociology degree, by all means go ahead, but just don't go into debt for it.
No.
And equally, if you're going to university, like, I don't know, I just think there's a lot of pointless degrees at the moment, I think. And then it's just, and then you have people graduating university being like, the system's like fucked, why don't I get paid more? And it's like, because you got a useless degree and you bring no value to the workforce.
And there's an inflation of everything too. Like, do you find that a lot with like younger people now? They want to be famous as opposed to successful. Like, I think there's a big distinction between being quote unquote famous and like just being successful. To me, the richest and the most successful people don't have to flaunt their shit online all the time, like
Yeah.
the Arians of the world or whatever.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of like I don't know, like a disconnect, a cognitive dissonance in a way. Like people just, I think our generation, we were told to go to university because our parents' generation, they had what, like 10% of them going to get degrees. So they thought like, okay, well, now you have to do what we were told to do. But I say this all the time, our world has like exponentially changed and we're consistently like innovating. Like think back to when we were kids versus like what we have access to now. That happened within like a 20-year time span. Like it's absolutely insane. And the fact that we're still pushing people to go get degrees when everybody and their mother has a degree, it's like, well, the value of that degree now has completely diminished.
We're running
And
old
so,
software on a new computer is what you're getting at.
yeah, literally that's exactly what it is. That's, yeah. And I just think that and I don't know if you see any of this, but I think that people are kind of just told like go to school so that you can be an employee, when it's like the jobs are even changing at the moment, right? And it's like I think that there's a lot of, I guess, stifling of creativity and innovation and entrepreneurship and things like that, because it's like the world is literally changing, the workforce is changing, and you're literally still doing things that don't work, and you're still not actually gaining any sort of skills to, you know, add value to society in that way. Yeah, I just think it's very interesting. I think, and I also think university, it's very I don't know if you agree with this, but I think a lot of people that I went to university with who are just spouting off all kinds of facts on the internet, they're like, it's like elitist. It's academia that's like elitist to me. I'm like, the real world doesn't function in the, you know, fringe areas of academia.
The
It's
real
very
world
bizarre.
doesn't care about you know, a 17th century poet that like you want, that you like wrote a 5-page essay on or whatever. It's very, it's not as linear as people would like to think, because you know, like you said, you go to school, you do this and that, and there's step A and B and that equals C. It's not as conventional as that. And like it's hilarious how when we were growing up too, our parents are like, why are you wasting time playing video games? What the fuck are you doing on the computer all day? Meanwhile, that's literally where the jobs are at right now, on the computer
Yep.
and playing video games, you know, and OnlyFans too. It's different.
Yeah. Yeah,
Almost
well,
that's all
that's kind of what's crazy. Like I say this a lot in like my content, just you know, on Instagram and stuff, is that it's like people are literally making money online from creating content. Like even like this, like having a podcast, having, you know, a YouTube channel, like even being a part of the creator fund on TikTok. Like there's literally an audience for everything, and like you can literally teach people whatever like skills that you have, you can like put that shit on YouTube, and like voila, you get monetized. And it's just bizarre like that people, I don't know, I think people are very stuck in like old ways of thinking and old ways of like creating wealth, or not even creating wealth, like just getting by, just like surviving kind of thing. And it's like actually like we've never had a better opportunity in this lifetime to create the life that we want to create, you know, like
yeah.
we have literally everything at our fingertips. We just need to be resourceful and like, you know, start looking. I'm like, my God, everything's free on the internet. Like, why are we still pushing kids to go into debt for school? Like, it just doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah. Honestly, like I think you should have been a guidance counselor because you'd keep it real. You would be like one of those Michelle Pfeiffer Dangerous Minds, a guidance counselor. Put your legs
That's
up
so
and like
weird.
talk to the kids like, listen, motherfucker, we gotta do it this way.
Yeah, well, and I think that's kind of just like what's lacking. And I just had to have a real conversation with my brother. I was like, listen, like you don't need to do XYZ. But like it's so funny just talking to my boyfriend's parents and even like my parents, like they still don't get it. Like they don't get that the world is genuinely changing, and they're still like blaming the government. I'm like, the government is the issue. So why do you want more government? Like I don't understand. Like
Yeah,
they don't know what they're doing.
I was gonna say it's gotten us so fucking far in the past year. Everybody totally has the utmost trust, and
No,
there's no dissonance at
100%.
all. I don't know what's going over there. Apparently, the UK is opening a little more. Canada's still kind of fucked.
Yeah, so the way that I've kind of described it to friends, because obviously, like if you're living in like, you know, Peel region in Toronto, like you've been in lockdown since November, but the rest of the province had like open spaces, right? Like you had like different zones for different things. Whereas here, what ended up happening was we started reopening stuff after the first lockdown in June. And then by November, we went into a national lockdown for the month of November. And then we were open only 2 weeks in December. And then they put us in national lockdown again. So all of England, not just London, but all of England has been in lockdown since December. And then, so just basically this past month, well, in March, they started opening the schools. I went back to work. I work, actually, I don't want to say where I work, but you know where I work. But yeah, I
Well,
went back to work.
Follow Vanessa's Instagram. It's very insightful, and she posts a lot of she's not like one of these influencers that just like rips off positive quotes and just kind of goes out about her day. She'll actually answer your shit. So please
Oh,
hit her up.
thank you for saying that. Cause I do feel like that there are some people that are like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people that are very anti growth. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but they're very I don't know. They're very pessimistic about it, and like they're always just posting counter stuff. Like I see a lot of like toxic positivity, which is like a thing. It's absolutely a thing. But you know those people that think everything's toxic positivity because it triggers something that they need to change within themselves. I'm like,
Yeah,
come on
they
now.
tend to be emotionally balanced. There's
Yeah,
no trauma or anything that's protruding into their life. Yeah, they tend
yeah,
to be
yeah,
good.
yeah. But yeah, so anyway, I went back into work April 12th. And now on May 17th, we can actually go like inside pubs and restaurants. Right now, you can only eat outdoors, whatever. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how long this lasts. But
Yeah,
it's been a while. It's been a few months.
I don't know. I'm over it. I'm pretty fucking over it. I'm just living my life
I'm
as if
over
it's
it.
not even happening. I wear the mask when I have to, but whatever. It's fine.
And just to preface for your viewers, I actually already told Dave this prior to the call, but like my view of it is like I'm not. I used to be uh pro lockdown, like when it first happened, because we saw what was happening in Italy and all of that stuff. Now I'm like, it's been a year and a half, like we need to keep going. And this is coming from somebody whose aunt who is currently in the hospital on oxygen. So it's not like I'm coming from a place of like, this isn't real. Like, it's like a, no, like there's somebody I love that's, potentially
Right.
in danger because of this. And I still am not pro lockdown anymore.
No, well,
So,
we didn't know what it was at the beginning. Like,
right.
how can you address a problem and you don't even know the parameters? Like, even now, we don't know the long-term effects and shit. Like, just being
Yeah.
inside. Like, I haven't been inside all this time. I've been a bit of a bad boy lately. Just
Have
because
you?
yeah, I know. I've gotten 2 feet in front of people. Ooh, I'm really breaking the trend.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing is that I'm of the opinion now where I genuinely feel, and this is after kind of waking up from an echo chamber that I had been in for like 10 years, which I think is
Really?
like the woke, like the woke cults that that I like to think very much like indoctrinated into that through university and things like that, right? Like just being a raging SJW all of the time. After kind of escaping that echo chamber and actually listening to people who had radically different viewpoints than myself, I realized that I was like, oh, there's some insidious shit going on. Like this is not, I really genuinely believe that the powers that be, like the elites of the world, I'm not talking like, oh, like they're drinking baby blood. Like I'm not that far, but I genuinely feel like the elites of the world are really like weaponizing real world issues like the C word. Because I don't want you to get in trouble on social media for
Contrarian
being, yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, so I think that they're weaponizing it because I think what they're trying to do is initiate a globalist new world order. That's what I'm thinking, because that's what the head of
Every
the,
conspiracy person who's listening to this, their dick just shot right up. Like it just grew 10 to 12 inches when you said that. It's like, fucking knew
yeah.
it, man.
But you know what's so funny? Like I used to like shun people off like that. I was like, oh, shut the fuck up, like blah blah. Like, because I used to think that the government gave a shit about us. I don't know why why I thought that, but yeah. So definitely changed my opinion on that. And I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying that this isn't real. It is very real. I think that the motivation behind it is sinister. I think that lockdowns are going to be much more harmful. And everybody's like, oh, like, we need to care more about people's lives than the economy. I'm like, the economy is people's lives. Like,
Yeah.
this is,
Every
this isn't the dark ages where we had to freaking go and hunt for our food and things like that. Like, we need people working and we need to be creating a living. And we are very privileged in the West. I don't want to see that come to an end. You know what I mean? Like, it's really, really terrifying, actually.
I was actually gonna set up multiple face licking parties and kissing booths, but like just around my trousers. So like that's where the booth is gonna be. So like, cause like I can change the height in my chair, so I can adjust it. But like that was gonna be my primary means of income. I don't know about you.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I was just going to utilize the internet, but to each their own,
Yeah, it's a working idea. Let's change gears for a little bit. So Well, I think the last time I talked to you, like on the phone, really, you were doing like this weight loss thing a little bit, and like I had lost a bunch of weight. I'd done little programs that started eating healthier, especially like when I did get the coronavirus in December.
Oh yeah.
I kicked it in about 4 to 5 days. It's like the standard thing. I've been doing like pretty regimented with my diet, at least in the morning. A lot of avocados, healthy fats, exercising, multivitamins, that's all that good shit. What led you though to the UK, and like what exactly is the field of work that you go into? Let's give the listeners some insight.
Yeah, okay. So this is a good story, I think. So okay, let's rewind. This was
I might get
2017.
drunk for this because
Oh my God, I am jealous, very jealous. You know, the
I'm
UK
gonna blow
needs to
some
catch up to Canada.
through the screen, boot. There you
Woo!
go.
Thank you. Thank you. I can smell it from here. Thank you. Yeah, so let's rewind. It was 2017. I had just ended a relationship that I had been in for like 4 years. The guy is still like, lots of respect for him. He's a wonderful guy, cared about him a lot, but I just didn't really feel like he was my end game anymore, even though I was so convinced that he was. Like I realized that like I wanted somebody who had a little bit more, I think, of a backbone, a little bit more ambition, things like that, because I'm a very strong presence, as you can probably know from knowing me. But yeah, so I ended up ending that relationship, ended up seeing some dude for a little bit who I had known from the past, and he just kind of fucked me around for a few months. And then I ended up just being like, you know what? I need to leave the country because I clearly don't know what I'm doing with myself at the moment. And at the time, like I was, what you were saying, I was with a network marketing company that was offering nutritional solutions. And like I had been using the products for, my God, since 2012. And I still love the products, love the company,
And the
love the
year was
company.
supposed to end.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Oh my God, do you remember that?
They're
There's a
only about
conspiracy
they're
theory
only
about
about
that
10
as
years
well.
off.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we at the time, because I was with that company, I knew that they were launching in the UK in May of 2017. And at that time, I wanted to go and travel. Some of my girlfriends were like, you should just go solo traveling. Like, it's the best thing for you. Like, a bunch of girls who had done it. And obviously, my dad was like, oh, I don't like this idea because he's like proper Italian. And he was like, no, we're not going to do that. And yeah, I went. And what ended up happening was I said, okay, I'm going to go to England because I know that they're opening in the UK. I said, one of my girlfriends who used to study at the University of Windsor, she was getting her MFA in acting in England. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go and visit her at the same time, kill two birds with one stone, and just, live my best life. So I did that, went to London and Dublin. And when I was staying with my girlfriend, she was like, okay, we're going to go out. And I said to her, I was like, listen, I didn't find me a Gerard Butler in frickin', Ireland. So like we need to find me a man today, because I was like, I was at that point in my life. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like my self-esteem was like at the floor, like genuinely at the floor. I was like, I just need to, get this other guy off of my skin, and I just need to have like a fun time in Europe. So I was like, we need to find me a one night stand. That's what's happening. And she was like, great, on it. We're going to do this. Not a problem. We went to the pub, and she said to her girlfriend, she was like, okay, Vanessa needs to get laid tonight. Like, let's get her, with some guys. Like, I don't know. So
I
guys
love
from
how
her class.
girls can just do that. I love how girls can just like, okay, I guess we're fucking opening up shop. Whereas
Yeah.
like, we gotta fucking have tact and like suave and like a little bit of game and style, There's all these little factors.
Yeah. That we're just easy to, I guess, manipulate. Not manipulate. That's a
No,
freaking
it's not
awful.
manipulate. It's more of a, how do I put this?
It
It's
is a bit
that
of a
you
game.
well, you guys don't have to approach as much. Like we typically are the ones that have to approach because we're hunters by nature. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I only hunt for bargains and buffets, so that's a little different.
You
But
know, those are both great.
I don't know. I kind of let the ladies come to me because just to go back to the self-esteem thing, I mean, I think changing environments and even just changing the people around you is so crucial to that.
It
Because
is.
up
It
until
is.
like maybe a couple of years, like 2 years ago, I didn't think I was good looking at all. Like I didn't, when somebody said like, oh, you're really good in this or whatever in this, I would fucking not believe them. Because maybe it's
Yeah.
just like, maybe it's the artist in you, or like maybe this is from your acting chops. Like when you're becoming another person, or I guess when you feel like you're kind of playing a caricature of yourself, it doesn't feel sincere. You know what I mean? So you were looking for sincerity, is what I can gather, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. And it was just kind of like, yeah, I think at the time I just remember thinking like, why am I being so mean to myself? And honestly, I'll get to it in a second, but basically what ended up happening was the guys from her class were buying me drinks, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, not really into them. And I was like, oh, they're a bunch of actors. I can't do this. Like, I really cannot. Like, I just, oh no,
For
like I
four
cannot do
years of
it.
actors, can you explain to the general public like what? Because not all actors, obviously, we're talking, we're generalizing, but like some of the actors, like what were your experiences with that? Was it just a very fickle thing, or?
You know what it is? I think for me, and this started like right when I started my BFA degree. First of all, BFA, like any sort of theater program that's very like conservatory style mixed with like university academics or any sort of theater school, it's very incestual. And what I mean by that is that, you're stuck with the same 20 people every day for hours. And like especially when you're getting like your BFA in a place like Windsor, for example, that's very yeah, again, it's conservatory style training. Like we were having like 10-hour days between like classes and actual like rehearsals, right? And like rehearsing with each other for classes and for different projects and things like that. So off the bat, it's a very kind of incestual intermingling, so everybody ends up fucking each other, and it's like the worst. And the reason why I say incestual is because you literally become a family with these people, because you're with them all day every day, right? And you see them at their absolute worst, and then you see them at their best. So it's family, but family fucking each other. It's really weird.
It's like
So
the
yeah.
show Big Brother, basically, but like
Yeah, no, it's exactly like that. And I think for me, I guess I had slept with one of the guys in my class, like in like the third week of school, because you're, 18 years old, being like, woo, like you're horny, whatever. So you do stupid things. And like, I remember after that, I was like, why am I doing this? Oh, it wasn't even that. I was seeing another guy. Oh my God. I was seeing another guy, and oh my God, I had to go to therapy after him. Like it was actually awful. And he was also in the drama department. And like, I just kind of got this idea that I was like, I feel like these men are too much like me. And also they're very, like, at least the guys that I was like physically attracted to, I was like, you're just not where I see myself with anymore. I don't know. You just
It
want
was
something different.
was it like a mental thing too? Because you said they were too much like you. I think that's interesting too, because the term or phrase is opposites attract. So you want somebody that can kind of help you in something you're deficient at or weak at, or kind
I
of like
agree. I
compliment on that.
agree 100%. And it's interesting because then the guy that I ended up dating for 4 years, he was a nurse and he was awesome. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, not an actor. Thank fucking God. So yeah, I don't know. Like I just feel like, you know what it is too? A lot
He
of
only has
actors
to
are
act like he only has
actors.
to act that he likes changing people's diapers and smelling shit for 12 hours. That's the only acting he's done.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, and yeah, he would take care of everybody, which was great. And that made him a good boyfriend too. So I mean, win-win. But I don't know. I think for me as well, like a lot of the guys that are actors, like some of them can be very like, I'm an actor, and like very like, like a stereotypical hipster, like not the good ones.
The ones with the unicycle and the dumb socks and fucking
Yeah,
the
like just like
that.
they just think they're like fuck boys, like fuck boy hipsters. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. That was the vibe. It was just lots of fuck boys. And again, this is not all, obviously, as we said, these are generalizations, but I just wasn't into it. So anyway, wasn't into the guys that my girlfriend was trying to hook me up with, but I saw this guy like looking at me from like the table across, and I was like, oh, he's cute, but I'm a woman, like I'm not going to do anything. So I remember I went to the bathroom, and which was down the stairs at this pub, and I remember like being in the bathroom being like, well, of course you're not gonna get laid in England like your other friend did. Like, what kind of stupid like expectations did I have? Like, I'm not really sure. But
They're very
anyway, that's the
grandiose,
story.
very
Yeah, well,
grandiose.
yeah. So what ended up happening was I got up the stairs and my now boyfriend literally just came out of nowhere, swept me off my feet, and he started dancing with me. And he started like with his cute little British accent. He was like, "I'm really sorry, but you're the most exquisitely gorgeous creature, and I just had to dance with you." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, fine, fuck it." Like, I'm like, "All
Do you
right."
think he followed you to the bathroom? Be honest, Do you think he fucking what if he didn't even have that accent? He's just like Hugh Grant in a movie.
Yeah, but you know what? That's so funny that you said that, because Phil and I are trying to like film like a how we first met video to like put on YouTube. We filmed it, but I'm like wanting to refilm it. And he literally said, he was like, yeah, like you kind of have to like Hugh Grant yourself up for these like North Americans, right? Like that's just what you do. And I was like, whatever. So, but I don't think he knew that I was Canadian though, because when I started speaking, he was like, "Oh God, where are you from?" And I was like, "I'm from Canada, but I could talk like you too." And he was like, "Get out." Like,
We still have your queen on our money. We do, you dad.
literally. I was like, listen, we have the same queen. Like that's that. So yeah, he ended up being hilarious. And so I ended up going home with him. And I was saying to like my girlfriend Brianna, I was like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Just keep like your Facebook on so I can call you like at 6 a.m. when I'm gonna come home from this guy's house or whatever. Thought that was gonna happen, went to his place, one thing leads to another. Don't leave the house until 12 in the afternoon. And then he was like, "Oh, like when are you leaving?" And I was like, "Tuesday," because this was Saturday at this point. And he's like, "Right, I'll pick you up tonight then." I was like, "Perfect, let's do that." So did that. And yeah, spent the whole weekend with him pretty much. And that was like a romantic weekend with a European. He's half French, half English. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, fuck's sake. I'm like, this guy is freaking awesome. And I'm living in Canada. Like, why? Why is this happening? And it's weird because before I met him, I remember like as soon as I heard the first British accent, I was like, I could be around British people all day. Like I was meant to be here. Like I was just walking around like, I want to live here. And it just, yeah, foreshadowing.
I want it to rain 80% of the time and have like decent food, but like
Yeah,
that comes from
what's so funny? That is such a stereotype that like British food is disgusting, and it literally could not be farther from the truth. Fun
really.
facts.
What's the best food you've had in the UK?
So, other than the fact that obviously because I live like pretty much on the outskirts of London, and like you can get a wide variety of amazing cuisine. Like obviously it's a major city, but even just like their national dish is, what is it? I think it's, oh god, it's one of the curries because they've adopted that. But like even like just like a roast dinner on a Sunday, I'm like, oh my god, this is delectable. Like people really talk shit about like, oh, like the British don't know how to season their food. And actually I found out that that's a stereotype that happened after the war when they were rationing. And I was like,
Which war? Was it the first war or like an earlier one?
I think it was the second world war, I think.
Okay.
It could have been after the First World War. I'm actually not sure, but it was one of the two. And obviously, because they had their rations, right? Like they couldn't really do much, but actually, like they're delicious. Like, I don't know, it's a lot of meat, potatoes kind of thing. There's obviously fish and chips, things like that. But equally, like Phil's both of his parents, because his parents are divorced but remarried, like his mom is French, so she knows how to obviously like cook well. But even like his dad's wife, like she's proper English and she cooks like amazing. Like I've had some of the best dishes with them. So yeah, it's weird. Like London in particular has amazing cuisine. Amazing restaurants, like you can't really go wrong. They're really big here on like Turkish food. They have a lot of Turkish places, like they do meze restaurants and things like that. Chinatown is amazing, obviously. Yeah, there's just so many different restaurants. They have obviously like the best Indian food ever. Yeah, it's amazing. Can't complain. I'm like, I'm well fed here.
Yeah, you didn't have to tell me.
Yeah, listen, me, I like food. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that like I love cooking. But anyway, so I
What's
met
your
my
proper
boyfriend.
Italian?
Yeah, exactly. I'm Italian Portuguese. So there's that. So my boyfriend's lucky because he's well fed as well. That's that. But yeah, we just kept on talking pretty much. And like obviously, like I left on the Tuesday that was back in May. So literally yesterday was actually the 4-year anniversary of the day that we first met, which is insane. Yeah. So I'm like, how did this happen? And it was insane. So obviously I was pining for a guy like across the ocean, which was weird, but he was obviously equally pining over me, which was nice. And we just kept on talking. And like, he came to visit me in Toronto in August. And then he was like, I really want you to come for New Year's. So I flew out for New Year's and he took me to Paris. Prior to going to Paris, he asked me to be his girlfriend officially, did back and forth long distance until, so that was what, January of 2018. We did long distance until I moved here in April of 2019. So yeah, that was a whole journey. And now I'm here. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's great. See, love can be all around the world, and like that gives me hope for humanity right there. Honestly,
Aw.
if there could be any, I guess, silver lining or anything like that, look at me. I'm all emotional because I'm a little stoned. This is beautiful, man.
That's when you know the shit's good, you know?
Oh, it is. I fucking go hard up here, especially if you see my Instagram stories. I've said this on many podcasts, or just in general. Sometimes I forget the camera's on me, and I'll just like be staring into the distance. I'll be
You're
like,
like Joe Rogan. He's like always just so high, like all the
why?
time.
I don't know if he always is. Is it because I look like a brown thumb? Apparently.
No. Oh my God. No, my boyfriend kind of introduced me to Joe Rogan because being a SJW woke cult leader, I was like very much told like, oh, like only, like straight white guys like Joe Rogan and like, he's misogynistic and he's transphobic and he's all of
He
these
has like
things.
all
I'm
girls.
like,
He has all girls in his family. He has to do manly shit to fucking offset that. Because
I'm
when you're around
telling
that shit,
you, the
yeah.
world has gone mad. The world's gone insane. So I refused to listen to Joe Rogan for like ages, literally ages, until like my boyfriend was like, no, like, come on, like, whatever. And like, yeah, started watching it. I'm just laughing because when you had said that about the weed, and I was like thinking back to the episode with Eliza Schlesinger, and she's
Oh,
like really fucked up. And she was like, oh God, like, I'm really high. And he was like, hey, look at me. Who's your buddy? It's me. Okay, I got you. And she was
I
like,
gotta
Joe
send
Rogan's
you.
my buddy.
Have you seen any of the Joey Diaz episodes? Any of the Joey Diaz? Oh my God.
I might have because like we just watch YouTube like all day. So
I,
yeah,
I, I
that
will send you a few of the compilations because they are on YouTube of when he's on there. He's like a fucking cartoon character. He's this Italian, he sounds like this Italian Goomba guy, but he's actually a Cuban from New Jersey.
yeah,
He's
yeah, yeah,
very,
yeah, 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 yeah. I was like, ma, he's Italian. And Phil's like,
oh
no, the
yeah, yeah,
fuck he ain't. I was like, no, but like he is. And I was like, oh shit, no, he's not.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He goes
I
back
know
and
which one
forth.
you're talking about.
Oh yeah, he's one of the reasons why I do the Instagrams like the way I do and stuff. It's a very kind of laid back approach to it. But he also like I don't know. I feel like especially when you're in any type of field, you probably do this in your field. You listen to the best of the best, and you take little things that they give you, and then either you can transform that into your own thing or use it as inspiration to come up with a new angle that you never even thought of. Like that's why like when you mentioned you were in this kind of insulated echo chamber, how you broke out of that was just like you said, from traveling the world and meeting new people and realizing, oh, we have a lot of the same fucking ideas, just in different iterations.
Yeah, it was insane. And like it's kind of frustrating because I have a few like friends who I'm not really like close with anymore who I can guarantee you think like, oh, like, her right-wing boyfriend just like brainwashed her. And I'm like, that's literally not even how any of this happened. Like genuinely, like I just started looking around being like, there's some things that don't make any more sense. And I don't understand any of this. So I ended up just starting listening to people that I had been told not to listen to for a decade, basically. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I know why. Because your ideologies don't make any fucking sense. That here we are. So yeah, it's just been interesting. And like, yeah, Phil kind of introduced me to Joe Rogan, who obviously interviews all kinds of people, which, you know, that kind of opened my eyes as well. And like, it's exactly right. It's what you said. A lot of the people I find that are indoctrinated into the SJW kind of woke cult, like they're people that are so beyond privilege that they don't even realize how fucking privileged they are. And it's not to say like, oh, we shouldn't improve the world. Like, of course we should improve the world, but like the means by which that you're trying to do this is stupid.
Well,
So
do you find they're doing it out of vanity a lot of the times, not really for those reasons, I guess, that you would think that they were doing it over like selflessness and helping the community? A lot
I
of it's
think
just vanity.
you know what it is. You know what it is. So I talk about this a lot with Phil because it's like that's all I'm seeing on my Instagram, right? Like everybody resharing fucking infographics, like pretending that they're activists, like, you know. And to be fair, like that used to be me. Like I used to do that all the time. And I was talking to Phil about it, and I said, you know, I think the issue with this indoctrination, because it happens in the universities, obviously, because they're very like extreme left wing. It's like there's nothing wrong with being a liberal. I think that majority of people are traditionally liberal. Like, you know, it's like I don't give a
Classically liberal. There's a big distinction. Like classically liberal used to mean you were free. You were more like you. How do I put this? Basically, you were more inclined to freedom of expression. You didn't want to silence as many people. The people that were silencing shit were the ones that were saying don't listen to NWA or fucking burning Bibles and shit like that. Like it's there, it used to mean let's just have a dichotomy of people and let's have a conversation and find out what unites.
and now traditional, or you know, classic liberalism is considered the alt-right apparently now, which I'm like, okay, like when did this happen? I don't understand. Yeah, it's
It's a lot of, you know, we could talk about that off air. I don't want to get too fucking deep into that shit because that's
I know. I literally was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, we could go
God.
down a rabbit hole with that. So yeah, I think just it's like what you said, just traveling the world and like really getting out of your bubble, listening to people with diverse opinions from all backgrounds and all experiences. It's like it really just opens up your eyes, being like, huh, maybe I got that wrong. You know what I mean? Maybe I didn't think that all the way through, right? So that's been a bit of the journey as well.
Yeah, it was. Well, this is actually my next question. I think I asked you what drew you into your field of work, but like I read low ticket versus high ticket commission. Now, are you just,
Yeah.
is that like a term or a term that's used with like selling, or is that like do
Yeah.
different companies use that? Like how does that work exactly?
Yeah. So within sales, you like a low ticket offer is something that costs less to buy, and therefore the commission is obviously lower. And just as a background too, like I not only have I been in network marketing, but I used to be like in sales at the gym. So I was a gym salesperson as well. And that's a whole other freaking, that's a weird world that we could go down a rabbit hole with that as well.
Please do, actually. I'm kind of compelled by that. I don't
Yeah.
think people know that side.
So I used to work for a particular gym in Canada that is very well known for like at point of sale. They get you to obviously like write down like a list of 10 friends that want like a 1 week trial or 2 week trial to the gym. And then that would be like your, you know, leads that you would go and then call and things like that. And like I personally just felt like the methods in which they were selling was just very very old school and not like up to date and very like spammy and harassy, which like I didn't feel good, which again is just so ironic, right? Because people talk so much shit about network marketing, for example, because they're like, oh, it's like predatory. No. I'm like, listen, there's shitty people everywhere. There's shitty people in every industry. That's why there's like the stigma of like the sleazy car salesman. There's plenty of car salesmen that are not like that. Like, do you know what I mean? And so basically in the gym world, it's kind of interesting because like the best way I can kind of describe it to you is the atmosphere kind of feels like you're in Wall Street in such a way that it's like when you're watching the movie The Wolf of Wall Street and you're seeing like fucked up shit happening, that's gym sales world as well. Like you'll have somebody snorting cocaine somewhere. It's wild. Like, and you're selling gym memberships to be healthy, you know?
Everybody knows that you want to do Quaaludes when you're on the treadmill. I think that's the best place for it.
Oh God, that would be awful. That would be awful. First of all, also Wolf of Wall Street's probably one of my favorite films. Like I've watched that several times because it's hilarious.
Yeah, they definitely go for it in that one. They don't give a shit.
Yeah, no. Oh my God, Jonah Hill in that film just like fucks me right up. I'm like, what? Like, who are you? Oh God. Anyway, but yeah, so did that, and then obviously did network marketing with my former company, who, like, again, like I still use the products and things like that, but these packages for supplements and things like that, and nutritional foods and things like that, like it ranged anywhere between, like, on the very, very low end, like 150 to like on the upwards of like 600, which would be considered like low ticket. You'd get like commissions for that anywhere between $25 to $120, right? Whereas let's say you are a real estate agent, for example, and you're selling $1 million homes, like that's considered like a high ticket item or a high ticket offer. And the commission is quite larger, right? So it's literally just a difference of price. And so, so the new space that I'm in, it's basically, well, so I partnered it with it, not necessarily for the high ticket offer. I partnered with it because of the platform. So just to give a bit of context, so I'm associated with, I guess, like I'm, what's the word, an affiliate for the Freedom Era, which is a platform that is an educational university basically for entrepreneurs who are looking to launch their own high ticket offers or partnering with the ones that we have, right? Which are basically their water ionizers. I don't want to talk too much about it because mine is stuck in Canada. So like I haven't even tried mine yet. Haven't tried mine yet, but it's basically
Expat.
stuck in Canada.
Just like you, it's an expat.
Yeah, well, and the thing was is that I was supposed to get it in September because I was supposed to be coming home in September, and then obviously that didn't happen. And then I'm supposed to go home this September, but who freaking knows? So anyway, basically I partnered with this company because of the platform, because basically from the low ticket network marketing space where I was at, it was very much like a sometimes old school method of network marketing where it's like cold contacts or, belly to belly kind of, prospecting and things like that, building connections, building relationships, potentially finding clients, potentially finding business partners or other distributors, right? And just to give everybody kind of context, I think within network marketing is the whole idea, like, I think the biggest difference I had with network marketing and sales is this idea that, like, you can sell an item, but that person that bought the item can also refer other people so that they get a commission as well. So the way that it would have been cool if, the gym used a network marketing business model, it would be like, okay, so I sell you a gym membership, and then every friend that you refer, you get like, I don't know, $20 off of your membership per month or whatever it is, right?
So you're providing incentives with each sale, but it doesn't feel as invasive. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, basically the whole point of network marketing is you're building a network of customers, right? And they can be customers that you acquire yourself or the customers that your customers acquire. And you're building an entire like web. And that's why people get this idea of like, oh, it's a pyramid scheme, because they think in their head, like, well, recruit this person, then recruit this person, and it's like, that's not actually what it is. It's more like a big web. And what's really cool, for example, like my mom was the person that enrolled me into my old company, right? Because she was using it for weight loss. And like I had put on like the freshman 15 in first year university, and she was like, you're doing that. So what's hilarious though is that like my mom, she was making money because she was referring friends, family, whatever. But as soon as I started like really going for the business in 2015, 3 years later, I was making more money than my mom, even though she was above me. So there's huge misconceptions really about the industry in general, but obviously there are bad, actors in every industry. So I don't blame people for having, a bad kind of taste in their mouth from it. So I think for me, and at least the people that I know who are in the industry, and I know quite a few, it's like the whole idea is that you want to do things with integrity. You want to partner with people that you actually like. You're not like trying to sell your product to every single fucking person, because not everybody needs your product, right?
No.
Just being genuine.
Also,
So
you believe in your product more when you're selling from a genuine place as well, or from a sincere place. I think that, just going back to, like you said, all the bad actors, I think the reason why people are so skeptical and turned off is because they think, okay, well, what's the end game? What's the incentive? What's this guy or girl getting at? And
yeah,
I think it's a healthy way to do that. But like you said, I think money talks and bullshit walks. And also, to me, some of the best marketing is word of mouth.
it
Like you
is.
could market, like you have a million cars coming out this year. They're coming out with Ford, Chrysler, any of the main top three or big three. But Tesla's one of the highest selling cars, just for word of mouth, just because of
Yeah.
because of Elon right
That's
there.
that's and that's kind of like an example that like a lot of network marketers give, that it's like you don't see commercials and advertising for Ferraris. Do you know what I mean? And like basically the whole idea with network marketing is this, okay? If a company decides to go through the network marketing route, what they're essentially doing is they're getting rid of that middleman, right? So they're not, paying for advertising, they're not paying for shelf space, they're not, suffering those product margins. And at least with the company that I was with before, the guy who formulated all of our products, this was like shakes and cleanses and like bars and greens and whatever, like so many different products and stuff. He used to work for GNC, and he used to manufacture, literally he would create like over 2,300 different products over 600 different companies. And because
Hmm.
there's that profit margin obviously within shelf space and manufacturers and all this stuff, like they would look at his concoction, and they'd be like, oh, this filler, or sorry, this ingredient, that's too expensive, so we're going to fill it with this and make it cheaper and make it cheaper and make it cheaper. So actually the quality of the products that you're getting oftentimes on the shelves are of lesser quality than if you're going, let's say, with like a network marketing company. And there's so many different network marketing companies for like nutrition, for hair, for nails, for skin, for like everything, right? Like oils, like all sorts of stuff. And like whether or not people are buy into that or not, like that's your personal preference. For me, like I'm a very like, I love holistic stuff, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of my jam. Like you see what I post. Like I'm one of like the astrology girls, like I love all of that moon woo woo ritual spiritual shit. Like that's me. Like that's who I am, take it or
Why
leave
do you think, this is a side note, why do you think girls are so into that? Like, I find a lot of Instagram girls like do that, like the hot ones, or even just like your everyday Betty and Kim, they'll post like a bunch of like the moon says this in your house and that. Like I kind of know abstractly a little bit what that's about, but why do you think that is, basically? I want to
I
know.
don't I don't really know. Like I can't really speak for all girls. But I feel like for me, like
Too late. I
growing
want you to be a spokesman for all women.
yeah, well, I mean, hey, like I don't know if everybody would be happy with that, but but I don't know. I think that like growing up, my mom, like obviously I grew up Catholic, obviously because I'm Italian and Portuguese, and my mom was very spiritual, and my grandmother, my vava, she was very like, my vava is a person that like she'll sleep with one light open, because when the lights are off, she hears people, like hears spirits, like that's her way of the world, right? And we know certain people that can tell the future, like whatever, things like that. So that's kind of where I was exposed to all of that. And for me, like I just think that even though like I don't believe in everything like the Catholic Church says, like, or the Bible says, like I do believe that as humans, we only have a certain level of consciousness of what is actually going on, right? Like even just within the universe and things like that, like there's so much that we don't know. So for me, I definitely feel like there's like a universal like source or energy that kind of connects us all. I really genuinely believe that. And so with that being said, like I do believe that the planets have certain whatever, like I'm not an expert in it at all, but like I genuinely think that the moon has an effect on us. I think all like there's a reason why people like freaking eons ago looked to the planets for things, right? And just kind of interpreted. I talked about this with Phil the other day. I was like, just even the idea that human beings, like we haven't even, or maybe that's the wrong word, but basically the idea that when, you know, the first human beings were on earth, like the fact that they looked and they said, huh, so it becomes dark, then it becomes light, then it becomes dark, then it becomes light, and then they created the concept of time. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, that's actually wild to me. Like the fact that humans do things to kind of, or, you know, think about things that make their reality make sense, you
Yeah.
know, and I think that's where it comes from.
It's well that, and like we doubled our frontal lobe size over millennia and centuries. I mean, you know,
Yeah, because we're constantly evolving all of the
well,
time.
there's that. There's a couple theories I've heard. If you listen to Joe Rogan, actually he brings this up, the stoned ape theory, where human beings are looking for different food sources, and so they be flipping over like turds from other species and of like cows and shit like that, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
would, yeah, and we would come down from the trees and then we eat these mushrooms and then trip out, and then that's when the doubling of the size. There's also too that is evidence that maybe dogs helped us because dogs were the first alarm clock, or like the first alarm system. So because they have such a
Of
sensitive
course they
smell,
were.
yeah, from miles away, that allowed us to be able to talk and communicate and think more, as opposed to
Yeah.
just fighting off apex predators. So
That's the
there's
thing. Like it to me, I'm just consistently amazed that we are literally on this flying rock in space. Like it's just, to me, it's bizarre. Like that's why I feel like what we know in like this 3D perception of our reality is just that. Like I think that there's more to it than that. So like I don't know. I've always just kind of had that sense within me as well. Like I've always been very much an intuitive person as well. And I think I've just experienced a few like I want to say paranormal, but like I've experienced some shit, you know, like that. I'm like, there has
wow.
to be more. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, I don't remember what were we talking about before? I don't
Oh God,
remember.
who
We
knows?
got off on a tangent.
Yeah. Oh yeah, about fucking oh yeah, about astrology and why you think girls are so drawn to it. Because I really don't. I don't hear dudes being drawn into it that much.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's that.
I know a few guys who are like there's a few like creators that are sharing that stuff on like Instagram and TikTok and stuff, but you're right. I think it is primarily women, and I think that it might have to do with the fact that like we talk a lot about like in the spiritual kind of community about like the masculine and feminine energies, and we all have that. We all have masculine and feminine energy, but I think a lot of women now are really tapping into their femininity, and like and not like by a stereotypical like descriptor. I mean just like really tapping into their like womanness and their power and their creative energy and things like that,
And the
because
nurturing and the
basically
caring and compassion too. Like it all kind
yeah,
of goes.
well, that's the thing. So basically, like the masculine energy is like the hustle energy. It's the like provider. It's the like go, 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 go.
Protective.
Like I have to make shit happen. The ambition, the drive, like etc. And then your feminine energy is more your nurturing energy, the one that you know takes care of yourself, and it's also your creative energy as well. So again, like every single human being has both energies that you can tap into. Right? We all have a masculine and a feminine side, which I think is really, really cool. So I don't know if it's just because I think there's probably some people who would think that again, like this isn't necessarily my view. Like I'm not really sure why women are more into it, but maybe it's because like we give life. I think. I think that has something to do with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like we literally like build humans, like obviously with your guys' help, but like you know what I mean, it's just wild. I think that just being a woman is insane to me sometimes. I saw my aunt give birth to my cousin like in 2015, and that was wild. Like I could not believe, I was like holy fuck, we can do that, that's insane. Like it
Yep.
just it doesn't feel real. Like I'm like what, like I just saw you know my little cousin's head come out and I bawled my eyes out. I was like holy fuck, like this is like a magical spiritual moment. And it's interesting because I follow a lot of like, because of women that I know in my life who are very like spiritual or whatever, and I've been following like their birth journeys and things like that. Like I've just been following a lot of people like that who talk about like the spirituality associated with actually like not just carrying your child but like giving birth and like breastfeeding and you know or even bottle feeding and whatever, like just like the mother to child kind of bond. And it's just like yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's why, because I feel like a lot of the women I know are very that are into that are also very much tapped into that feminine, divine feminine kind of energy, I think.
Well, yeah, like I don't know if you see over my left shoulder, but that's a statue of a mom carrying her child in the back, and it's an African statue because my parents they have their own business themselves, and like I'm going back to what you said before, I've seen them network market from the ground up. Like my stepdad's very litigious and he's very, excuse me, pragmatic with how he sells and how he goes about his business, which I do respect. But also too, like there has to be the creativity side. Like that was made out, I think, of just like a little stump of wood. And even
Wow.
I don't know if you've seen like the Unity things. It's like where all the heads are kind of meshed together, and
Yeah.
they all just kind of like sit, kind of just they kind of sit like this, like together. So imagine like my fingertips are the heads, and
Yeah.
somebody carved that just out of one stump, and
That's
then
unreal.
yeah, yeah. So like
Beautiful.
I think every culture depicts it, but like it's all generally very linear and like the same in that regard. And you know, the
Yeah.
bond between the mother and the child.
Yeah. And I think as well, like going back to that kind of like cultural idea, is that it's like I do really like the idea of kind of just going back to basics sometimes and going, deep into like the roots of things. And I think that like there's a lot that we can learn from the past in so many different ways and like different methods and things like that. And I think what really drew me to like my previous company as well is that like they always talked about like the ingredients that they used was very much like Eastern type of like medicine that was normal. And like with the cleansing that we used to do all the time, like they were like it's a form of like intermittent fasting, but you're actually being like nutritionally supported through that. And like they always said, they were like, in the East nobody bats an eye about like fasting. In the West we're just shoveling food down our throats every day, so of course we're the first people to be like, oh, like fasting, like that's an eating disorder, like like just petty bullshit from Western society that's so privileged that they don't even know what the fuck's happening. And I just think that there's so much
Vanessa,
that we
that's
can learn.
totally a microaggression. Okay, don't tell me that I should need to fast.
Oh my God, you're right. No, 100%. Oh, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. It's yeah, I just think that there's a lot.
That'll be an off-camera rant that I think we'll both share the same sentiment.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I feel like I know exactly what you're thinking right now. So yeah, exactly. But I just think that there's so much that you can learn from different cultures around the world, even just like nutritionally and just like philosophically, just like so many different things that you can learn. So I think yeah, anyway, that's my opinion, I think, on why women, I think, are more attuned to that sort of stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, no, honestly, you gave some great insight there. So that what I do sometimes is when I do a show like this, I'll take little clips and post it on my channel to preview the page. So I might just take that, you
Okay.
know, because I got to expand my female audience a little bit. I've been too dude heavy lately.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
you
know.
gotta
So,
be part of it.
oh yeah, no, I no, I I don't know exactly what your time is. We can wrap up in a little bit, but I wanted to I sometimes I'll ask this like during the podcast. Do you have any questions for me? Let's flip the script because I don't want this to just be a one-on-one thing. Do you have, because like
Ah, okay.
we've talked sporadically throughout the years, but never like a one-on-one like this. So this is very cool that we
Yeah,
get to
okay.
share
So what's your story since university?
story since university. Well, it's gonna sound, like in the first Rocky movie when he's doing a lot of amateur fights and he's fighting like these bums, and he's just kind of got the shitty apartment with the turtle and stuff. I don't want to say that was me, but like it's been like the first 2 minutes of Rocky where it's been like a lot of up and downs because like I finished at university. I went back for a little bit. I Not that I switched the program, but I wanted to try different things. I tried to do creative writing. I tried to do anthropology for a minute, like more media stuff. Like that's why when we were talking about the media and how they use certain imagery to kind of provoke a response, I'm always very sensitive to that because I kind of know what they're doing and how they're kind of prodding the viewer to kind of provoke a response, for lack of a better term. So I
You
was
mean
doing that for a
propaganda?
bit. Yeah, propagandizing, or just to create a feeling, or like to create an emotion and a narrative. I've
Yeah.
always been sensitive to that because, for like my own life too, because like people have preconceived notions about me and they realize I can string together a sentence and fucking throw them for a loop.
Isn't that so fucking annoying though? Like the fact that people like literally go around thinking that like they're so superior and that they think that they know what the fuck your life's about. Like that's so cringe. It's cringe.
I here's the thing. I don't blame them because they don't know me. Once they know me and kind of have a sense of who I am, then that veil is lifted a little bit and we could just kind of interact as human beings. It's kind of why I started doing comedy because people were treating me weird. And I was like, I don't, when you're a little kid, you don't see yourself as any different. So I'm like, how do I get through this bullshit? So I always like being in front of people and talking to people like yourself. To be honest, I was more comfortable in front of like hundreds of people as opposed to just the one-on-one thing.
Yeah,
So
no,
it's
I got you.
yeah, but to answer your question, let's see, finished in about 2015, just kind of drifted for a bit, like was at home for a bit, would do a show here and there, but just didn't feel like I had any purpose or any sense of anything. So, kind of, I wouldn't say bitter, I was just kind of lost and very kind of trapped in my own perceptions of myself and like my own self-worth and just always selling myself short, not realizing I was doing it for like the longest time because a lot of times you catch yourself if you have a negative I guess mantra or just you kind of keep going down this one train of thought and you just fucking stay there. So like
Yeah.
I found my actors doing that too, and like the way I was writing I couldn't really write anything. My communication skills were diminishing. So it was actually 2019 when I started this program at the Y. It's like a job searching program, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of brought me back to my roots. It brought me what I wanted to do. I like coaching. I liked that's kind of what made me want to go to the U was it was CJAM, like the little radio station there, because I co-op there in high school.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's
So I would
awesome.
yeah, I'd like do little promos and help like organize the music and shit like that. So I did that for a good 6, 7 months, like a nice summer job, and I even came back for a bit. And then I had a little grant to do it for another month or two. Lost confidence, lost faith in that project. It's rhythm and cues. In case you guys don't know, it's where it was a very one note show, so I could only go so far with it. I did like 4 or 5 episodes, and then I was just kind of tired of it. This is a bit more open ended, and like I kind of want to see where this goes, and that's why I wanted to have you on because you're different than most of the people that I've interviewed lately. So
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. And like, I just want to say too, like, I feel like, you're somebody who has obviously your own challenges, but you're somebody I think that is like inspiring for me because I feel like I said, going back to the other stuff, there's a lot of people that are a bunch of fucking whiners and complainers. And it's like they don't even understand. They don't even understand how fucking like privileged these people are. And they're the ones going around being the biggest, loudest complainers. And it's like you're just like a testament to the fact that it's like you move forward with life and you create fucking epic shit. Do you know what I mean? Like you're doing
I
comedy,
try.
doing podcast.
Yeah, I definitely try, but like I don't want people to think like my life's just been a super struggle. I got really
No.
lucky. I have a great family and like great friends to kind of help me out. But like it's I had some other shit going on. I I always like knew I like to write, but I went to go back to our initial even how we started this conversation. I went to university just because I think it's just what you did. It's just what you
Yeah.
do, the next logical step. And I really didn't have any plans. And like even my grandmother asked me, she's like, why'd you go into that shit? Like you could have done something different. She didn't say
Yeah.
that. She's got she's way more articulate than that sentence gave her credit for. But she basically said, why didn't you go into something that you wanted? I was like, well, I didn't know what the hell I wanted. I just wanted to do it to
Yeah.
do it. The first guy in my family to go to university as well. So
Mhm.
that came with some pressure. Um, but yeah, I mean, as shitty as this year has been, like I got a great new place, a kick-ass new pad. I have basically no strings attached. I just kind of do what I want. And I'm in control of my own destiny. I think maybe that scares a lot of people because they like others telling them what to do or like, well, this is the next step, and you need structure, I guess, on some level, but you also have to figure out what gives you joy and how can you monetize that and profit from that.
A
Um,
hundred percent. 100%. I'm so glad you said that. I think that's exactly it. At the end of the day, like you are the creator of your reality. Like, and you can actually, yeah, okay, you can't control every single thing. Like going back to what we said, like life is suffering. There is a lot of that, but you can make the most out of your time here. And it's like, we don't, I don't know. I think as I get older, and I don't know if you can relate, but like I'm more aware of how time goes by so quick and we're not here for a long time. Do you know what I mean? And it's like
Here for a
we
good
have,
time.
yeah, and like you have to make the most of it. You have to do, what makes you happy. You have to take care of yourself so that you can be, better for the people around you, and create that ripple effect. I'm huge on that. I'm very much like, it's interesting. I went from being kind of like a collectivist type of human being, but I really realized that like in order to like raise the collective, you have to start it with the individual. You have to start in your own house, in your own, mind, in your own world, because that's how you create a better world. Is that if everybody just takes like personal responsibility for their life and just take care of themselves, take care of their shit, get their house in order, like you can create amazing things.
Two questions for you actually. So I want you to elaborate more on the ripple effect, and also with all the companies that you've been, I guess chatting with, or I guess synchronized with. What is your biggest success story, or what is your best success story that you've seen, where somebody's been able to build themselves up and really kind of propagate their own? I hate to say brand because it sounds like such a yuppie term and such a hipstery term, but when they've been able to really promote their own thing. Like, is there anything that stood out to you?
Gosh, there's so many. I think within myself, because I'm still very much like in the process of like figuring out who I am as like a personal brand, but I just kind of going off of the idea with a personal brand is that like the idea really is that you are your brand. It's you. It's whoever you are. You are what makes, it unique and things like that, and whatever you offer to the world. So for me, I'm still very much like figuring that out and like unlearning a lot of things like from my previous network marketing company, for example, like figuring out what kind of content that I want to bring forward, whether it's like, travel, expat life, or is it, cooking, because I love cooking. Is it spirituality? Is it personal development? Is it business, etc.? And I kind of realized I'm like, it's pretty much all of that, because that's who I am. So I'm still kind of figuring that out. But I think that the biggest accomplishment that I had, I think, was just moving here, because I wouldn't have been able to, honestly, I say this all the time, I wouldn't have been able to go back and forth with Phil for like long distance and stuff if it wasn't for the fact that I was making money online through network marketing. Right. And now obviously like I've entered this new space and I'm still very like new to it. But the people that at least that I'm partnered with, like, God, the stories are crazy. Like one of my mentors, Talia, she is from Australia. She currently lives in Bali. And when she kind of got started, she had like fucking $200 to her name. Like she was in her in-laws basement in Chicago. And she was actually in my old network marketing company as well. And like she had done well, but she wasn't doing as well, right? And I think that's another reason why people kind of like, oh, like network marketing doesn't work. It's like, because it's hard. It's not easy to fucking, build a personal brand and like sell things. Like it's not easy. There's a lot of inner work that's involved, a lot of skill building. Like, it's not a get rich quick thing. Like you need to learn the skills like anything else in this life, right? And so she ended up going on to building a multiple six-figure income within 9 months, which was awesome. And it was just, like really focusing on like what value she brought on online and like what she could offer. And yeah, it's just been crazy. And like, I think another kind of crazy story is I know these two young girls. One of them, again, was from my old company, and she's 22. No, she's 23. And then her friend is 20. And like, they literally started within the affiliate marketing space and building a personal brand and all of that stuff. They started like less than 2 years ago, and they're making six figures. And
Mm.
like they're living in Indonesia. Like the 23-year-old, like she ended up getting knocked up by an Indonesian guy, and she has like the most gorgeous baby, and like she's just living
Like
her life, and
wavy,
she doesn't.
wavy ass hair, right? They got some wavy hair down there.
No, she's no, not too much. Like she's a cute kid. But anyway,
It's because when I used to get a haircut, my barber was half Indian and half black, and so I told him, my dad's half black and half Indian, and he said, "Oh, it's because you got that good hair, man. This shit grow back in quick."
that is actually so true. My friend is the exact same way. But yeah, anyway, she ended up, it's crazy. Like I look at her content and it's like you don't really know what it is that she's doing because she's just sharing her life as somebody who's living in Indonesia, had a baby, she filmed her like birth, like she just talks about shit that's happening in her life, and she's making like 10K months, like 20K months. It's insane. So yeah, I think it's just good to kind of just be surrounding yourself with people who are, building successful enterprises and personal brands. And I keep saying it to everybody, like your personal brand is recession proof at the end of the day. If you can build up a brand based on who you are, it's like being like a internet personality, really. But it's like, what kind of value do you bring to people? And I actually did like an IG live today, funnily enough, of just like a random stream of consciousness, and I just posted it. And I said, I sometimes think, I'm like, okay, who gives a fuck about what I'm saying right now? Like genuinely, like, does anybody give a shit? Like, I actually don't know. But then I stopped myself because I was like, hang on a second. The amount of people that I follow on so many different platforms that I watch because they give value, and they change just by sharing their story, just sharing a skill, sharing any of those things. I'm like, we as human beings, like we thrive when we connect with one another and really learn from one another, I think. And so that's I think the beautiful part about social media is this idea that like we can actually really utilize it very powerfully, and not just be consumed by it, and like getting down the scroll hole and being
I like that
inundated with
scroll.
shit that's toxic. Yeah, like I think the big thing is that if you want to kind of build a personal brand online, it's really just switching your mindset from being a consumer to a creator, and just kind of sharing your special gifts with the world. I don't know. I think that some people think like, oh, like who am I or whatever. It's like, man, your story matters. What can you bring to the table? Like, what can people learn from you? And I think
It,
that's just really powerful.
it's easier to tear something down than it is to build something, and I think that's what you're getting at. Is that I don't know if you I'm a big Toronto Raptor fan, and when they won the championship, like I don't know, I always like little, maybe it's because I'm a short king myself, I'm a tiny guy, so I like seeing tiny guys go up. It's literally a depiction of life, and like I guess a biblical story when King David's going up against Goliath. But Fred
Yep.
Van will forever be one of my favorite basketball players, unless something comes out, unless he did something bad, then I disavow. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, unless it's a Ray Rice situation, I'm gonna have to jump off that wagon. Um, yeah. Avoid elevators and crazy bitches. But basically, like Fred Van Fleet is my one of my favorite basketball players. It was Allen Iverson back in the day because his motto was bet on yourself. He's like a still Division 1 school. Yeah, it was Wichita State, but like he was undrafted, and like in the NBA, you only have like 50 spots per draft, this first round, the second round, and then that's
Yeah.
about it. And like nobody gave this guy a shot. He's too small. He's not going to be able to handle the NBA, the impact, the 82 games, blah blah blah. Guy sets like a record for almost most threes made in Raptor history. Wins a championship in like his third year. Got like this
That's what
crazy
I
deal,
mean.
all just from
Like
betting on himself, betting on yourself.
that's all we have at the end of the day. Like, and that's what I think is pissing me off so much about like just everything that's happening with the world, and people just like wanting the government to like somehow save them. And it's like you can literally only save yourself. You literally can. Like and I'm not being funny, I'm not trying to be political, but it's literally like these external entities do not give a fuck about you. You have to bet on yourself. You have to. And you have to, you're not, you weren't put on this earth just to like, I don't know, be miserable. Like you were put on this earth to create and to nourish and to survive and to thrive. Like I can't remember who said it. I heard the other day, it's like poverty is like man's like default setting. Like nobody's entitled to fucking anything in this world. It's like like the default of human nature is that like you have nothing, like you have nothing. And we have come together and created societies in which we're exchanging so much value. That's what it is, right? Whether you're creating a product or a service, it's like we're all thriving because of products and services that people have created and the exchange of energy and the exchange of value at the end of the day. So I was like, that's kind of profound because, you know, especially like I didn't grow up with money, for example. Like, you know, I not that my parents were like poor, but they were definitely like working middle class and struggled a
Yeah.
lot. Like I didn't fucking get to go on like all kinds of fancy trips like some of my friends were. Like I, you know what I mean? Like I was very much made aware that like money doesn't grow on trees. Like I was very much aware of that growing up. And so like just shifting even just my money mindset now and realizing that actually like we can create anything that we want in this life. And money is literally just the currency that we use to exchange energy or value or products and services. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, wild. So I think, yeah, we just need to bet on ourselves and create what we want to create and be in charge of that. And just, you know, fuck everything else. Honestly, take care of yourself, take care of your own life and the people around you. And you had asked me about the ripple effect. What I think a ripple effect really is this idea that like if you take care of yourself, and I mean like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, in any way that you can, then obviously the ripple effect of that is that the people in your community benefit from that better version of you, that thriving version of you,
Mm.
right? And in terms of like entrepreneurship or, you know, being a creative, et cetera, it's like people benefit from those gifts that you have as well, right? So that's kind of the ripple effect. And it's interesting because the community that I'm a part of within the freedom era, which is my girl Talia, she kind of made, she co-created this movement called the ripple effect. And she was like, because basically like, if you go first, if you show people what's possible by living, you know, your ideal life and stepping into that higher version of yourself in alignment, in integrity, you know, that creates a ripple effect within your community and within your family, within your everything, right? And that's, and again, that's how you, in my opinion, how you raise the collective and society and your community and the world. You have to start within, because I think right now the issue is that you have a lot of very unhealed individuals who have not addressed their own shit and have not stepped into their higher version of themselves. And they're trying to go out and change the fucking world from an unhealed place. And that is not, that's not good. Like we want to create changes from actual, you know, a healed place, really, from people who actually, you know, are operating at their as their best selves. We don't want to be, you know, making decisions and creating a new world from a shitty place.
I love that. It really is
Yeah.
like the blind in that regard. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want to keep you too long, but let's get some of your links out of the way so we can let people know where they can follow you at and get some of this great advice. Sign me the hell up. You sold me like the last 20 minutes. Yeah. Like I sold me. Sorry. We're cutting
No,
that part out.
thank you so much for having me on. Like, yeah, at first I was like, I have no idea what this is going to be about. And then I was like,
Sorry
we
about that,
got
guys. The recording stopped for a second because Dave Squeaky Wheels doesn't know how to hit the delete button on some of his older files, let's just say. But we did that.
it.
Yeah. And anyway, so let's Vanessa, I want you to give your plug so people can know where to go reach you at. Please let them know.
Yeah. Honestly, at the moment, I'm just going to say Instagram because I'm revamping my blog and I'd like to create a YouTube channel. So literally my is at Vanessa Lancione. That's it. If you're interested in like the freedom era and kind of like if you're an
Can you
entrepreneur
spell
or
that? Can
creative.
you spell that for people?
Yes, Vanessa Lancione. But yeah, if you're a creative or an entrepreneur who's really looking to monetize the online space and learn all about, how to launch your own high ticket offer, or maybe you don't have a high ticket offer and you want to, check ours out. All of the links are actually in my bio on my Instagram, and you can select whichever one you want. And also just like say hi and just, we can have a chat and see, what you want to create in the online space. If you, want to build a personal brand and be a content creator and things like that. And I can connect you with some of my girlfriends and some of my mentors that have been kind of helping me out along the way. And then, yeah, just expect to see like real life on my Instagram. It's really not, yes, there's some business stuff, but there's like all kinds of other things like that we were talking about before. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
I honestly, I loved having you on here, and you're not new to this. You're fucking true to this. So keep it up, girlfriend. I love everything that you're doing. And I love that you're giving people the tools to make their lives not be bleak and meek, and that you're giving the power back to the individual, which is very, very, very a crucial lesson. I think a crucial message that needs to get out there. Also, too, my links. You can follow me at Dave Squeaky Wheels on Instagram. At as wait, no, is it D Squeaky Wheels? I don't have to check. Whatever. Just look up Dave Squeaky Wheels Instagram. Same with Facebook, SQUEAKY, new word wheels with a Z. And you can see this on youtube.com/Dave Squeaky Wheels, all one word with the S. Twitter, D Squeaky Wheels. I barely fucking use Twitter, but I'm going to try and revamp that as well. Maybe with Vanessa's help, you never know.
Oh God, I'm not on Twitter. That's such a negative, like hellhole. I just can't do it. Like I just can't. Yeah,
it's true. Either way, like we'll talk off camera because I would like to collaborate on a couple things. So please go follow all of her links. She is awesome. She's the life coach that I think you need, and everything that people are lacking, she'll whip your ass into shape. Trust me, she's small but mighty. Thank you so much for listening. Absolutely. I that's why I love Italian women. You guys don't fucking play.
Oh yeah.
I love it. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. This has been episode 9 of Wheelin' and Dealin' with the boy DJ Dave Squeaky Wheels. Join me next Friday. You can also tune in every Friday at 4:00. We will be airing these live on my YouTube. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Wrist it.